your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
That's fine. Take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. You like this?
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative.
You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times by the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah!
11 got it. Rowdy there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job. 10-4. Great job, guys.
Hi, and welcome to the first Racing in the Draft podcast, videocast show. My name is Mark. I will be your host for the next little bit, talking about NASCAR and Racing in the Draft, which is a Draftkings breakdown show, and it's maybe a little bit of just some of what's going on in NASCAR. Happy to have you aboard. If you like what you're seeing, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and the little bell icon. And let's kind of get into things here. We are racing at Daytona this weekend. I'm recording this Saturday evening after watching the Xfinity show, which was rhymes with hits, and there were lots of hits show. It destroyed a lot of cars and destroyed my Draftkings, but that's okay. I did pretty well in the Friday truck race. But the big show is tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 on Fox. So make sure you tune into that. Make sure you get your Draftkings in. And if you catch this before that, let me know how you ended up doing. I plan on doing this every week from here till the end of the season. If time allows, I will start putting together truck and Xfinity breakdowns also, but my main focus will be on the Cup Series. So let's kind of look into what Daytona has for us this weekend. And one of the big things about Daytona to always remember is the big one always ends up happening. So take that into account when you're setting up your drafts. If you're new to NASCAR and drafting drivers for Draftkings, the big one is when typically half the field is wiped out with one accident. That happens because they literally run 10 deep, 3 wide around the track time and time again. And all it takes is one person to have one slight issue and it will take out the field. For example, I'd put together a little quick video compilation and take a look at that now. And as you could see, that wrecks a lot of cars and ends up destroying a lot of what you would think potentially be the best cars winning the race typically don't. So this is one of the few races, this in Talladega, that you can take a lot of cars from the rear of the field. You do not want to utilize the whole $50,000 of Draftkings salary for this race. You typically, we'll kind of show you a breakdown on what happened in the Truck at Xfinity series, and show you how much money the optimal lineup carried. But let's kind of get into a breakdown of the drivers for the Daytona 500 tomorrow afternoon. Daytona 500, the Great American Race. It is a very large track, 2.5 miles. It's in the super speedway type. 31 degrees banking in the main first and second and third and fourth turns. The race length is 200 laps. Dominator points we'll get into a little bit. That is laps led. You get 0.25 for each lap a driver leads as a kind of as part of the point system, and fast laps, for each lap that the driver is the fastest, you will get 0.45 points per fast lap. So let's kind of get into the breakdown of the drivers. At the top of the pricing heap, between $10,400 and $9,900, is Denny Hamlin, who has 2 back-to-back Daytona 500 wins. He does have 3 top 5s in the last 5 races. His DraftKings average is a 36.9 and an average finish of 13.8 in the last 5 races at Daytona. He finished 13th in the duel. He did run out of fuel halfway through the last lap. He did lead 1 lap of that, and he does have 3 wins at Daytona and a total of 10 top 5s in his 30 attempts. Next in line is Chase Elliott, $10,300. He'll be starting 12th. He has 0 wins, only 1 top 5, a 19.9 DK average, 20.6 average finish. He finished 5th in his duel. He has never won here at Daytona in his 10 starts. His best finish is 2nd, and only has that 1 second place finish in the top 10 of his 10 attempts. Brad Keselowski's next in line at $10,100, starting 24th. He will be going to a backup car because he wrecked his car in the duels. Won't change his starting position too much. 24th, though, might end up starting probably 36th. But after you get rid of some of the lower drivers, he should make that up pretty quickly. So I'm not real worried about the starting position with him. He does not perform real well at Daytona. He does really well at Talladega. So he does know how to draft very well, just hasn't had very good luck. 0 wins, 0 top 5s, 2.9 DraftKings average at a 26.8 average finish over the last 5 races. He's raced here 23 times, has 1 win, 3 top 5s in those 23 starts, and he did finish 11th in the duel after his wreck. Next in line is his teammate Ryan Blaney at $10,000. He'll be starting 14th. Ryan Blaney was coming to the line last year at the Daytona 500 looking for a win, and just missed when he and Ryan Newman got collected. That was a horrific accident. If you haven't seen the replays of that, there was a bit of that in the video I just showed you. But he has 0 wins, 1 top 5, a 2.9 DK average, and a 23 average finish in the last 5 races at Daytona. He finished 6th in his duel. He led 4 laps in that duel. He's finished 2nd twice here in Daytona in his 11 starts. And next in line is Joey Logano at $9,900. He is the 3rd driver out of the Penske camp. He has he's starting 9th this weekend. He has 0 wins, 1 top 5, a 3.9 DK average, which is really low, a 24.4 average finish in his last 5 starts at Daytona. He did finish 4th in the duels. He did end up leading a few laps during that. He does have one win in his 24 attempts at Daytona, and he does have 6 top 5s. So the last 5 races have not been kind, but he has done fairly well. In fact, all 3 Penske car drivers typically do well. They end up somehow getting collected into an accident, which hurts their standings. So maybe this year around they might have a little bit better luck. Next tier is the 9,000 to 9,700. Kevin Harvick has 0 wins in the last 5. Well, he's starting 8th. Sorry about that. And has 0 wins, 1 top 5, a 10.4 DK average in the last 5 races, and a 19.8 average finish. He did finish 3rd in his duels. He led 11 laps during that duel. He does have 2 wins, 10 top 5s, and 39 starting attempts at Daytona. He does fairly well. He might be a really good driver to take. He is starting 8th, which is a little bit risky, but it's not a bad starting spot. Next in line, Rowdy Kyle Busch, 9,500, starting 10th, has 0 wins in the last 5 races. He has 1 top 5, an 18.9 Draftkings average, 22.6 average finish in the last 5 races. He finished 4th in the duel. He has won in Daytona once before and does have 8 top 5 finishes out of his 31 attempts. Martin Truex Jr. has never won at a super speedway. Maybe this will be his year. He just always seems to be just be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Excuse me. He is starting 26th, which this type of track, and because you get place differential points, that may be a pretty good starting spot for Martin. He has 0 wins, 2 top 5s in the last 5 races here, 19.9 Draftkings average, and a 16.8 average finish. He has finished 12th in the duels. On Thursday, he led 9 laps. He's finished 2nd twice in his 31 attempts and has 3 top 5 finishes in those 31 attempts. Next in line is Alex Bowman, our pole sitter. He is not going to a backup car. He will still continue to race the same car that he qualified in. He did have some troubles during the duels. They thought they may have had something going wrong with the engine, but they've figured out the problem and have not had to replace it, so he will continue to stay up front and start in first. His price tag is $9,200. He has 0 wins, 0 top 5s, 19.6 DK average, 15.4 average finish in his last 5 attempts at Daytona. He has started in Daytona 9 times with a 7th place best finish, and he finished 20th in his duels because he did have the problem with his engine. Starting first at any race is not good for DraftKings. It's great if you're the driver, but for DraftKings, because they penalize or give you so much more bonus points because of laps led, and place differential or PD upside is what the common term is for that. Typically, every spot, if you were to finish 2nd, finish 3rd, finish 4th, you're losing 1 to 2 points per position that you fall back. Just like if you were to start 40th and gain 20 spots, you're going to gain typically 20 to 25 points. So starting first, you typically are going to fall back unless you are going to dominate. There are a few tracks out there that some drivers just will lead from start to finish. And we could talk about that when those tracks come, but this track is definitely not that type of track. Next in line, William Byron, who is part of the Hendrick camp also, Alex Bowman's teammate, and had driven to a 2nd place position during qualifying, but ended up in a wreck in the duels. So that starting 2nd spot is what he is credited for, but will be going to a backup and probably starting somewhere between 35th and 40th. So this one may be one to avoid because, like we've just said, you're going to lose so many spots in point differential, and you'll be starting from the back. So you don't get any real credit for it. His backup car is the car he won the fall race at Daytona last year in, so it's a solid car and it's a winning car. But you're only going to gain a few points, 1 or 2 points from finishing from a starting spot of second and moving up to first. With that being said, he does have 2 top 5s in the last 5 attempts, an 18.1 Draftkings average, 19.2 average finish. He finished 19th in the duel after wrecking his car. He did lead 34 laps prior to that happening. Like we just said, he does have 1 win and 2 top 5s in his last 6 attempts. In the next year, Kurt Busch, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and only a 3.8 Draftkings average. Always seems to get collected in some type of mess when he comes here. In the last, he's starting 20th. He finished 9th in the duel race on Thursday. He does have 1 win here in the past out of his 39 attempts and 13 top 5s. If he races well and stays clean, he finishes really well. He may be one of the drivers that we will look at taking. Next in line, Eric Almirola, who will be starting 3rd, was dominant during his duel on Thursday. He led 52 of the 60 laps. He has 1 win prior to that here and 2 top 5s in his 18 attempts. But in the last 5 races, he has a 12.6 Draftkings average and a 21.6 average finish. Kyle Larson is making his return to NASCAR after he slipped up and said a bad word while doing an iRacing event during the COVID break that we had. He has 0 wins, 0 top 5s in the last 5 attempts, a 19.4 Draftkings average, and a 19.5 average finish. He finished 7th in his duels. His best finish at Daytona is 6th. He does have 4 top 10s in his 13 attempts. Austin Dillon is next in line, starting 4th. In the last 5 races, he has 0 wins, 0 top 5s, 25.0 Draftkings average, and 18 average finish. He won his duel race. He did lead 2 laps, one of them being the last lap. He does have 1 Daytona 500 victory here. It was 4 years ago, and 2 top 5s in his 15 attempts. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. next in line, also a prior winner at Daytona, but in the last 5 races, well, let's see, sorry, he's starting 21st this year. He has 0 wins, 0 top 5s in the last 5 attempts, a 19.0 Draftkings average in those last 5 attempts, and a 20.8 average finish. He finished 11th in his duels. Like I said before, he does have a Daytona win and 2 top 5s in his 17 attempts. Next in line, Matt DiBenedetto, Matty D, much easier way to say it. Starting 23rd, driving for the Wood Brothers, who actually always bring a good car to Daytona, and Matt is a really good super speedway driver. This will be somebody that I'll keep a very close eye on, and probably have a lot of in my Draftkings. He does have 0 wins and 0 top 5s. But he has a 36.7 Draftkings average over the last 5 attempts at Daytona and a 15.6 average finish. He finished 12th in his duels. His best finish is 7th, but he has 3 top 5s, or 3 top 10s, and 11 attempts he has driven here. Ross Chastain next in line. They call him the Watermelon Man because his family does some watermelon farming. And whenever he has won in the past, he always brings out a watermelon, smashes it in victory lane. So it's kind of an interesting little fun technique about him. But he is a very good plate racer. No wins, though. 0 top 5s in the last 5 attempts at Daytona. But he does have a 34.8 Draftkings average and a 12.2 average finish. He finished 20th in his duel race when he was involved in a wreck. So he will be going to a backup car. His original starting spot was 34th. He may end up losing 2 or 3 spots. This will be somebody that I will look highly on coming for Sunday's race. He has 1 top 10, and that's 10th. He does have an Xfinity win at Daytona, and he started here for 5 different times. Next in line is Christopher Bell, who is taking over the ride in the 20 car from Eric Jones, who moved over to Richard Petty this year. Christopher Bell is a sophomore in the Cup Series and was a prior Xfinity champion. He has 0 wins in a Cup car at Daytona, but does have 3 top 10 Xfinity finishes. His best is 13th. He finished 2nd in his duel and will be starting 5th on Daytona. Next in line, Bubba Wallace, who moved over from Richard Petty to 2311, which is the car that's owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. Will be interesting to see how this car performs being part of the Joe Gibbs stable, sort of. He's kind of on the outside, but has a lot of support from Joe Gibbs Racing. Bubba Wallace's price tag is $7,400. He'll be starting 6th. He has 1 top 5 here in the last 5 starts. He has a 30.7 Draftkings average, 16.2 average finish. He finished 2nd in his duel. He led 3 laps in those duels. His best finish at Daytona is 2nd. He has 2 top 5s and 7 attempts. And next in line is the car that Bubba used to drive, is Eric Jones, driving for Richard Petty Motorsports. His price tag is at $7,300. So he'll be starting 31st. Has 1 top 5, 3.9 DraftKings average, and a 24.4 average finish. He finished 17th in his duels. I remember there's only 21 people, so he finished 4 from the last. But very fast car. He just got caught up in some things, but was able to make some repairs. He does have 1 win at Daytona and 2 top 5s and 8 starts, so he does perform well when he does, if he doesn't get caught up in the big one. Next pricing tier, $6,600 to $7,100. We're starting to kind of get into the bottom of the barrel here, but at Daytona, that's not a bad thing. This is typically where most of your salary relief comes from, and where a lot of times your most points come from. Tyler Reddick, starting 29th, has 0 top 5s and 0 wins. He's only started here 3 times in a Cup car. He has a 30.0 average finish. He finished 15th in his duels, but does have 1 Xfinity win here at Daytona. Next in line, Rocket Man Ryan Newman, driving for Roush Fenway Racing. Like I said before, he was the one that was caught up in that massive, horrific wreck last year, coming to the finish line. And luckily enough, he didn't walk away, but was released from the hospital 2 days later. He did take about 4 or 5 weeks off before, actually he took 3 or 4 weeks off, and then COVID happened, and then he came back after COVID, when they came back racing. But he's $7,000, starting 7th, has 1 top 5, a 31.9 DraftKings average in the last 5 attempts. He finished 3rd in his duel, and he does have a Daytona 500 win and 6 top 5s and 38 attempts. Next in line, Chris Buescher, who is Ryan's teammate, 6,900, has 1 top 5, a 34.3 average, 15.2 average finish, finished 10th in the duels. His best finish is 3rd and 3 top 5s out of 10 attempts. So he actually is a fairly good plate racer and somebody to keep an eye on. Cole Custer in the 41 for Stewart Haas Racing, $6,700, starting 27th. He did end up wrecking on the last lap of his dual race and finished 14th. He has 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and a negative 2.8 DraftKings average in those 2 attempts at Daytona. 30.0 average finish. His best Xfinity finish is 14th. This is somebody that I will probably not be taking much of this weekend. Next in line is a rookie in the Cup Series, Chase Briscoe, taking over for the Clint Boyer ride in the 14th with Stewart Haas Racing, also $6,600. He'll be starting 30th, but going to a backup car after he had problems in his dual race. No stats on him other than Xfinity, which he has 2 top 5s, a 25.8 DraftKings average, 14.0 average finish. Finished 15th in his duels after he was caught up in an accident. And he's finished 2nd in Xfinity, 2 top 5s out of 4 starts. Jamie McMurray, who is coming out of semi-retirement and away from the broadcast booth for this one race, $6,400, starting 19th, has 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and a 5.6 DraftKings average with a 26.7 average finish. But he does have 2 wins at Daytona, 3 top 5s, and 33 starts. Michael McDowell, probably one of my favorite drivers at road courses and super speedways. He just seems to be overlooked a lot. Is starting 17th, has no wins but 1 top 5 and a 41.4 DraftKings average, which is one of the highest that we have on this list. 14.8 average finish, finished 9th in the duels. He is finished 4th and has 2 top 5s and 19 starts. Austin Cindric, another rookie, kind of. He'll be running a handful of races in the Cup Series while running a full-time Xfinity Series, and he did win the Xfinity race this evening, so he is coming off a win. So that always tends to give some drivers a bump in confidence. So he will be somebody that I will probably be taking a really good look at, but has no Cup experience. He has 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 29.0 DraftKings average in Xfinity, and a 15.2 average finish. He finished 16th in his duels. He was caught up in a late race accident. His best finish in Xfinity was 4th until tonight, where he did win, and he has now 7 starts. Next in line is Ryan Preece. The number 37 will be starting 11th, has 1 top 20, a 13.2 DraftKings average, and a 27.5 average finish in the last 4 races at Daytona, and has only started in 4 Cup races. Finished 5th in his duels, did very well. His best finish here is 8th and has just that 1 top 10. Corey LaJoie at 5,800 is starting 16th. Very good plate racer. Always tends to draft well and keeps himself out of trouble. He has 1 top 5 here in the last 5 races, 42.8, which may be tops on the list. 16th place average finish. He finished 7th in his duels. His best finish here in a Cup car is 6th and 2 top 10s. The reason his DraftKings average is so high is he doesn't qualify well, typically starts in the back, and is able to work his way up, which gives him a lot of PD upside. Next on the list here is Daniel Suarez, driving the 99, Trackhouse Motorsports, with partnership with Mr. Worldwide, Mr. Pitbull. Good to see some outside celebrity influences between him and Michael Jordan coming to the sport, so it should be exciting. I think probably the best paint schemes of the year are going to come from this 99 car, but paint schemes aren't everything. How do you race? He's starting 15th. He has no top 5s and only a 33.5 average finish, and only a 1 DK average point in the last 5 races. He finished 8th in his duels. His best finish at Daytona is 17th, and that is that 1 top 20 out of 7 races. But I expect big things to come from Daniel Suarez this year. He is a road course expert and should do fairly well when we get to the road courses this year. David Reagan, semi-retired, has come back. He is starting 18th, has 1 top 5 in the last 5 races, a 21.3 DraftKings average, 21.5 average finish. Finished 8th in his duels. He does have 1 win here at Daytona out of his 27 starts and 4 top 5s. It might be somebody to keep an eye on. His starting a little bit higher than I'd like to see, but still somebody who races very well at Daytona. Next in line is another rookie driver this year, Anthony Alfredo, or better known as Fast Pasta. Has done a lot of iRacing and had made a name for himself last year when COVID happened, and also did very well in the Xfinity Series, so he got himself a ride in the number 38. His price tag is $5,200. He'll be starting 36th. He has 0 starts in Cup and only 1 Xfinity start here in Cup. But don't let that scare you too much. I think he'll end up performing fairly well. He's going to probably be very timid. I don't think he's going to possibly finish from the top 20, but starting 36th, if he moves up 15 spot, he easily pays for his salary. So somebody to keep an eye on there. And this will be the last driver on the list that I will even remotely take a look at, which is Kaz Grala at 4,900. He has 0 Cup starts also. He's kind of in the same boat as Anthony Alfredo. He did very well last year in the Xfinity Series and has made a name for himself. But in Xfinity, he has 1 top 5. He has a 72.9 Draftkings average. He finished his best 4th in Xfinity last year and has 2 top 5s at Daytona. So somebody to keep a possible eye on. These next drivers I won't even be putting on my list, but we'll go through them very rapidly. BJ McLeod driving the NASCAR Heats number 78. Josh Bilicki, $4,600, starting 37th. Cody Ware drove in the Xfinity Series race, but he'll be starting 35th. Joey Gase, Quinn Huff, and Derek Cope. Derek Cope is a past winner of Daytona and is 62 years old. Why he's making this start is beyond me, other than he's got a charter, or his team owner has a charter and is going to go race. I do not expect anything from him unless the big one happens early and he can just go and cruise by himself at maintaining minimum seeds and ending up moving up in point differential, but I do not expect a whole lot from this group of guys. So if you're putting your lineups together, be very careful with this group. They showed little to no speed during their duels. Take them at your own risk. But I did want to show you from got the wrong sheet up, the Xfinity Series, and what happened over here. You had starting or finishing positions of 8th, 10th, 5th, 12th, 2nd, and 13th. Their total price was $41,700. They had $8,300 left in salary cap, and this was the optimal lineup. We can also look very quickly at the Truck Series. Had something very similar happen where we had salary left over of $10,300. The finishing positions are better here, but most of these guys were in the lower tiers on money. But this is kind of the sheet that I use to go through and make a lot of these types of rankings and how I look at their histories and everything else. But that's all I have for today's race, or this coming race on Sunday, and I hope to do more of these with you. Please make sure you leave a comment, if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to try to answer those. And as we get further into the season, I'll start doing some live broadcasts, and we'll do some live setups of Draftkings. So look forward to you hanging out, and look forward to having you aboard, and good luck if you're racing, if you're putting lineups together tomorrow, and we'll see you later this week.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so gotta be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's gotta run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys.
Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal, we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away. Yeah, boys! Way to rebound! Great job!
Great job, bud. Really good job.
Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.